I'm excited for this next guest. We finally get to talk some NBA. It is playoff season. Now joining us is Mirjam Swanson, Clippers and Sparks beat reporter for the OC Register and LA Daily News. Mirjam, how are you doing today?
I'm doing good. Doing good. Ready for the playoffs.
Aren't we all?
Yeah, Miriam, I'm glad you came and joined the show because I need your help with something. I keep looking at this 10-team format, playoff format. I'm like scratching my head, trying to figure out who gets to go where. I saw the Lakers are, I think, the seventh seed, and they're playing the Warriors. But I think overall, I kind of got the concept. But it seems like it could be a little fun, a little confusing. But Miriam, do you like this kind of trial run with the 10-team format? Could it be a permanent thing? Did it take you a while to kind of figure it out as well?
I mean, I guess I get I get the gist of it. And I think it's going to make for an interesting week this week. I think if you're the team that it obviously made things very interesting. The last couple days of the season, probably even more interesting than normal, similar to like the wild card did in baseball. But there's that that NCAA tournament feel of like one game anything can happen. So like the Lakers play the Warriors tomorrow. The Lakers are a very good team, and the Warriors are not as great a team, but they're the Warriors, and they have Steph Curry. So if Steph goes, or not tomorrow, Wednesday, if Steph goes off, then it's one game, right? But the Lakers aren't out of it. Then they shift down and they play the winner of the 9th and 10th seed. So between Memphis and San Antonio, and we'll go from there, and then whoever goes from there gets to play the number 1 seed. So it's kind of like a roundabout way of doing it. It's definitely different. I know LeBron wasn't happy about the idea, but it was what it is. So we'll see how it plays out, and we'll see how unhappy the losers are, and how okay with it everybody else is, and we'll see what they decide.
Hey, they're turning the pot. They're getting it. They're trying to get a little bit more exciting. So I'm all for it. Why not? So let's focus now on the Clippers. They have an intriguing matchup against the Dallas Mavericks. Kawhi versus Luka. Mirjam, what are you expecting to see from this matchup? And do you think the Clippers are in a little bit of trouble with the way Dallas has played down the stretch?
Yeah, the Dallas has been hot, and the Clippers have been doing their best to not be hot, especially the last couple of games. Because as Gilbert covered that game, they did that again yesterday, where they basically played as few important players as possible in order to lose to the 2 worst teams in the Western Conference, so that they could get the seeding not so they could get the seeding they wanted. No, they just wanted to rest their players, which they succeeded in doing. I mean, nobody got hurt. Everybody's not worse for wear. I mean, like the Lakers played LeBron in the 4th quarter yesterday, and he turned his ankle. So, health is important. So that is, that's what they were doing, of course. But in the process, they got the 4th seed, they got Dallas. So I don't think they're like sweating Dallas a lot. But Dallas is a good team, and Luka's a great player, and they've got a good, great coach and a good supporting cast. They pushed him to 6 last year. Of course, PG had like a horrible shooting stretch that last first round, which everybody knows about, until he broke out of it. So we'll, it's going to be interesting. Dallas beat them by 51 points on the first time they met this year. That probably won't happen again. But the Clippers, they know what they want to do. They have a week to figure it out. I think it's going to be a competitive series. But the Clippers have so much firepower and so much shooting, and I don't think Dallas has the perimeter defense to really stop that overall. So I think the Clippers will be okay, although it should be competitive.
Miriam, you mentioned Paul George. I missed him in my return as an NBA reporter. I got to
Playoff
see I got to see a lot of non-playoff players for that game I covered. But let's talk about a little more about Paul George. Cover him for the entire season. How much of that topic came about throughout the whole year about what he did last year and kind of flamed out in the second round, superstar player like that? And is there extra pressure for him to deliver this postseason? And before the kind of the rest, was he playing well? Is he in a groove? Do you think he will deliver this postseason? Paul George, that is.
for his sake, I hope so, because I think especially early on he was asked about it a lot, and now and then he still gets asked about it. And the thing about PG is that he's pretty forthcoming. Like he'll sit there and he'll say, yeah, I thought about it all summer and it worked really hard and it motivated me, and I thought about Kobe and I listened to Kobe quotes, and I try to get his head right, and he has for stretches this season been absolutely spectacular. I mean, like there was like a 2-week stretch where he was scoring 30 plus points a game, and like while Kawhi was out, and lately his shot's not been falling, but he's still like leading the team with assists on those days, or almost getting a triple double. So, or like, he had a poor shooting night, but was like plus 24, like while everybody else was like plus 11. So like, he's still such, it's easy to look at Paul George for a lot of people and kind of nitpick and be like, playoff P or whatever. But he really is a fantastic basketball player. And so hopefully, for his sake, he can kind of have shooting performances to like, in the right moments to like, sort of put some of that behind him. Because he puts a lot of pressure on himself, and he sort of absorbs it in a way that, maybe Kawhi Leonard doesn't, because Kawhi Leonard's sort of like an android. And then there's Paul, who is not, So, that's definitely like, if not the story, one of the stories this the coming few weeks, and it's going to be interesting.
Mirjam, do you feel like this is finally the year that the Clippers win it all? And do you feel like Coach Ty Lue was the final piece that they needed? I mean, they were playing well before these last two final regular season games.
They probably played exactly how they wanted to play in the last final two regular season games. So, yes, Ty's been really, really good for them. He's like, it was absolutely the right hire. He knew this team from being assistant coach the year before, and he knew sort of like what to do, and how to massage different things. Everyone seems to be more on the same page than before. But he's been more flexible with rotations. He's staggered PG and Kawhi in a way that like Doc didn't. So things like that. He's really unlocked the offense. I mean, they had the fourth best 3-point shooting percentage as a team ever in the NBA. So, I mean, they shot 41.1%, I think, for the season, which is kind of crazy. I mean, they have like 9 guys shooting 40% plus from three. So that's pretty helpful in today's NBA. So like all that kind of stuff. And Ty Lue has like a really composed nature about him. He's chill. He's calm. He's not like he's like a personality that everybody likes without being like a personality that like sucks all the air out of the room, so he's good for this squad in that, or probably for any squad, but good in that way. So yeah, I think he really gives them a chance at that first title. Plus, he's done it before. He led Cleveland to 3 straight finals and the title. So obviously he had LeBron with him, but now he has Kawhi and PG. So if anyone can do it, I think he can. Do I think this is the year? I don't know. Like, I feel like the Clippers have to do it before I'll say that. I don't know. Like, they have too much history, too much crazy stuff has happened. They can prove it to everybody before I proclaim them the future NBA champions.
Mirjam, it feels like you mentioned it, LeBron, Ty, like there are storylines between the two teams in Staples Center. Last year, the Lakers get AD, then it's, hey, you should come with us. Kawhi, come and be the third player. We can do this. Kawhi ends up going to the Clippers. They trade for Paul George. It feels like it felt like last year it was all boiling up and playing out like it's going to be Lakers, Clippers, Western Conference Finals. It's going to be a slugfest. The Clippers they lose to the Nuggets, and they're not able to make it. Do you feel like if this matchup ended up happening, because I mean, we heard what Jared Dudley said yesterday. Some teams were ducking us. I don't know who he was talking about. I don't know. I'm not gonna put 2 and 2 together. But do you feel like if it's Lakers and Clippers, do you feel like the Clippers are strong enough to be able to take, if both teams are healthy, it's a slugfest. Both teams are healthy in the Western Conference Finals. Do you feel like the Clippers could beat the Lakers?
Yes, I think they match up pretty well against Lakers. Will they? I mean, the Lakers are the champions. The Lakers have LeBron. So I'm not going to like say, oh, for sure. But can they? Absolutely can. I think they have the style they play, and then, they've proven it. They beat them every time this year, even though the Lakers were shorthanded for some of that, or for two of those games. And even last year, they lost the game right before the hiatus began, but they beat them like an opening night on Christmas. So I don't think this Clippers team, I don't think anybody would willingly like face the Lakers earlier than you have to. I don't think that's even a Clippers thing. I think that's like just common sense, especially now that, as long as LeBron's healthy and they're, and there's the argument of like, would you rather get them early so they're not like rolling, or would you let the playoffs kind of like beat them up a little bit so maybe they're not fully healthy when you get them? So who knows? It's, basketball fate is going to do what it does. But but I think the Clippers absolutely can beat the Lakers if they need this time.
A lot of ifs, Mirjam, but it should be an exciting NBA postseason. But before we let you go, though, I want to ask you about the LA Sparks. You also cover the Sparks as well. I was following your tweets when I was, filling in for you covering that debacle Clippers Rockets game. But you kind of have your own little struggles as well. Were you at a high school gym for the Sparks game? What's going on with the gym there, and what should we expect for the Sparks in 2021?
So they are temporarily being housed in the LA Convention Center. So if you've ever been to like the convention center for the car show or whatever, there's a hall that has now been curtained off, and feels sort of like a basketball arena. Nneka Ogwumike said it felt kind of bubbly, but at least it felt like a Sparks bubbly, where like it's their colors and their DJ and their people. But it's weird. Yeah, they're playing in a convention center, as not a basketball gym or arena. It's loud and spacious and weird. But they will be back at Staples Center after the Olympics. I think for right now, it's because the Clippers and Lakers and Kings and like there's so many other things going on at Staples. They're just next door. But they'll be back as normal at Staples when that gets less busy.
So
and then about the team, it's basically a brand new team. They've, besides the Nneka and Shanae Ogwumike, they have like all new players from 3 seasons ago. So there's going to be some growing pains, it's looking like, after that first game. Derek Fisher, the former Lakers great point guard, this is his 3rd year as a Sparks coach, and they lost Candace Parker over the offseason to free agency. So it's like a new identity, new system, new style, a lot of new stuff happening. And they were really enthusiastic going into Friday's season opener. And then it ended up looking like they've got some stuff to figure out, which they absolutely can. But we'll see how long that takes.
Mirjam, we appreciate you joining us. Can you tell the good folks out there where they can find you and all your great work on social media?
You can find my social media, Twitter at Mirjam Swanson, which is Mirjam Swanson, SWANSON. Or you can go to the OC Register Sports, and you can find my stuff under either the Clippers or Sparks tab, or you can find Gilbert's stuff there too, of course. Read his good work. Just go.
I love the double plug.
Whatever.
I love the double plug. Thank you, Mirjam, so much for joining Compas on the Beat. We truly do appreciate it.
All right. Thanks, you guys. Take care.